This is behind the scenes of an 8-figure e-commerce brand, and this video is special because it's about one of the closest friends that I have. Meet Ariel. Ariel is the man behind the #1 fulfillment center here in Florida and is responsible for the most important part of any e-commerce business, actually getting the product to your customer. So Ariel, we're here now. What actually is this business and how does it work?
So Velocity Fulfillment, it's an all-inclusive fulfillment center. We handle everything logistics-wise with getting your products here and getting them directly to your customers.
So if I have an e-commerce brand, you can handle all the logistics.
Yeah, so we pretty much handle everything from making sure your product gets here correctly, if you're importing it from overseas, and making sure your products are being sent to your customers on time, as fast as possible, and with the most efficient method.
And what's the hardest part about running a type of business like this?
Well, I'd say the hardest part is actually unloading the containers full of the products. The easiest part is actually shipping them. So we have no problems with volume or sending a large amount. It's just, it's pretty hot here in Florida, so unloading those are not that fun.
Now, Ariel, you store all this inventory, you work with e-commerce brands, but for you as the fulfillment center, where do you actually make the money?
Well, unlike a lot of these other fulfillment centers, we don't make money off of unloading, receiving fees, setup fees, storage fees. We don't do any of that. We make money when you're making money, when you're shipping products. The more you ship, the better for everybody.
Okay, so you make money on the side of orders going out.
Exactly.
And what causes it to vary? Like, you make more money on bigger items or smaller? Like, how does that work?
Well, our pricing is built exactly to your store. So everybody has a different thing. Some people require more attention towards their products being shipped out. Some things are more simple. So everybody is different.
And how many orders would you say you're sending out like per month?
Well, it ranges, but probably in the holiday season, we're gonna be close to 6 figures worth of orders per month.
So we've both been in the dropshipping space. We're gonna talk about that more in this video, but when does it actually make sense as an e-commerce brand owner to go from, let's say, dropshipping to actually using your 3PL?
Well, it really depends on what you're doing, but the best thing is to make sure you actually have a product that's worth sending all the way over to a fulfillment center. You don't want to be doing it if you're doing 10 orders a month. It really is based for people that are doing volume or have a brand or really are creating some custom products that they're generating from their manufacturer and they want to send it directly to a fulfillment center and not deal with the overseas logistics problems.
And why would I use this 3PL compared to just still dropshipping or, let's say, getting an agent or something like that?
Well, there's a lot of problems with dropshipping, and as we get further and further into the future, it's going to become nearly impossible to dropship and advertise on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and plus beyond the fact that there's chargebacks, late shipping times, issues with orders, things not getting out on time or not being sent at all. You have a lot of issues with actually developing any type of reputation when you're working from overseas and not shipping from in the US.
Now, I met Ariel a few years back and actually got him into e-commerce, but after he started doing some volume with dropshipping, he quickly ran into some issues, which led to him starting this company. Now, Ariel actually has a pretty inspirational and crazy story on how this 3PL actually happened. So I met him all the way back in 2018. And what were you doing at that time?
So in 2018, I was working with a bunch of YouTubers doing editing, managing, really just working on their channels and building what they were doing.
Okay, and that was the time where I was getting heavily into dropshipping, making videos on this channel, and somehow that rubbed off onto Ariel, right?
So I was watching Tanner's videos. I saw a lot about dropshipping and I've heard of it, but I never really got into it myself. And I saw that it was in an industry that felt that it was very sustainable and long lasting. So that's kind of why I decided to get into it.
And what happened?
So within the first month of starting, I built a 6-figure store by finding a winner. And it was one of the most crazy and dramatic experiences that I've ever had because I had never seen figures like that coming in, and trying to manage and sustain it was quite a challenge, and one that really led me to start what I started here.
While you're doing all the YouTube editing and such?
Yeah, while I was doing that, I kind of was managing both at the same time, but I was also very fortunate to realize that that YouTube stuff was not going to be long lasting and it was not going to be sustainable, and I knew I needed to find a way out of it and find something that was more of my own. And that was one of my main motivations behind figuring out how to do this whole drop shipping and e-commerce business.
So you stopped doing the YouTube stuff and you started doing e-commerce full time, or what happened?
So basically I got screwed over with the whole YouTube thing, putting time and effort into it, and it didn't lead out the way that it was supposed to, and I was having issues with the drop shipping thing at the same time. So I decided I needed to go full force with what I was doing with the e-commerce fulfillment center and kind of cut out everything else that I was doing that was not effective and sustainable.
Well, how did you go from e-commerce store, dropshipping store, to fulfillment center?
So I actually learned a lot by having my first dropshipping store do so well so fast, because I learned there's a lot of problems with it. Chargebacks, issues with products not being delivered, wrong products being sent, you know, a lot of shipping delays and other issues. Dropshipping is shown as such a great industry that's easy and anybody can do it. But realistically, when you actually start making sales and a large volume of sales, you cannot sustainably dropship from overseas. It's not a realistic approach to it.
So you started fulfilling your own orders, basically?
Yeah, so I brought my inventory that was doing well over to the US and started shipping it myself.
And what happened to the e-commerce store?
So the product on the e-commerce store was very situational. It was not a sustainable product for a long period of time. But the lessons that I learned from bringing my stuff over here taught me that this model can be implemented with other e-commerce stores and brands. And that's what I decided to focus on completely. Only logistics, not dealing with actual sales.
And since I already know you, I know the story, but I think it's good for people to know like where you actually started, because now in this video, we see this huge warehouse, all these products, everything going on, but it wasn't always like that over the last couple years for you.
Yeah, so pretty much I started doing this stuff in my parents' garage and in the back of my parents' store. I was really just using any available space that I had to me. You know, when things started expanding, I got storage units until I got to the point where this is really something that I needed to put my full force and attention towards, and got the warehouse.
After all this time, it really is cool to see Ariel grow and to be here as he continues building this massive company. But I had one more question to ask. Now, we know that Velocity Worldwide is a one-of-a-kind 3PL, but what I want to ask you is, because there's tons of 3PLs, what is your vision with Velocity into the future? What do you want to do with it?
Well, my goal with Velocity is to kind of remove all the burden of logistics and overhead and e-commerce issues from the people that are actually owning and running these brands. Fulfillment is a game of efficiency, and these other competitors don't understand that. What they understand is trying to get the most money out of their customers' pocket. That isn't my goal. My goal is to have something sustainable and scalable. I don't want Velocity to be seen as a service. I want it to be seen as a necessity for growth in the future in order to sustain and build your brand the proper way.
Is this something you want to be doing, that's just like continuing to grow this forever and ever? You want to grow it to sell it? What do you want to do?
Well, I don't really know what the future holds. All I know is right now I'm 100% dedicated to what I'm doing here, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
How many orders a day though?
How many orders a day I want, or how many we're at?
Yeah, how many orders a day you want?
A million.
A million orders a day. Let's go.
Let's go.
If you own an e-commerce business and want to work with Velocity Worldwide, I'm gonna put a link in the description so you can get a free quote and talk to Ariel. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.